Welcome back. Another edition of the Wheat and White Bread podcast.
Wheat and White Bread.
I got off camera there for a second, but I'm your host, White Bread.
Yeah, you know who it is, man. You know Wheat Bread
over here,
building,
always
man.
coming to my garage. We're talking all this shit.
Man. Yeah,
but
man.
we're gonna get into it.
I'm with this shit today.
I hope you guys tuned in to the radio show.
Yeah.
We talked about school safety. We did a Wheat and White Bread segment. We had a couple of great guests, and we did a school safety.
Shout
segment.
out Kiki
and Miss Michelle.
And Miss Michelle.
Thank you for joining us. Hope you guys tuned in, WDRB Media. After May 1st, just so you know, I'm making some exciting changes to the MarylandArenaFoundation.org. All the radio broadcasts will be able to be heard on there live. So I'm going to post all the... It's just... Rome was not built in a day, folks, and I'm trying to get this thing going.
Brick by brick.
Brick by brick, we're getting there. But we got a great topic today that we've got some feedback from the audience, and they want us to get back into it. So we came up with a great topic today, and we're going to talk about it. We have a guest today. We got Casper. We're gonna
shout out Casper in the building.
We're gonna keep Casper off camera, but he's going to definitely have some input here. Let me shut my phone off so I don't get any more text messages. Sorry about that, folks. We're going to jump into it. The topic of the day.
Yes, sir. What is white bread?
Wheat and white bread. We've had a lot of comments. People want to hear it, but the lesser of two evils.
Yes, sir.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Because every time people that are fans of Donald Trump, people want to talk about Donald Trump, fans of Donald Trump say, what about Joe Biden? And then when you talk about the Joe Biden fans, they say, well, what about Donald Trump? So we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
The lesser of two evils, who's better for America with their policies and their actions and whatever their background. We're going to dive into it.
And this is feedback, y'all. You know, we're going to talk about some of the feedback
This
today.
is my opinion about the thing. This is Wheat Bread's opinion. I'm sure Casper will have a couple of things to say over there. He'll be chiming in a little bit, but let's really dive into it. So I'm going to get a little what I found out about the two men who we're talking about. So we'll start with Joe Biden. Okay, so Joe Biden's dad was a used car salesman. Okay, grew up middle class, one of four kids, and then he got married, had kids of his own, started a family of his own, and then right when he was about to get into the Senate, it was actually like right after he got elected into the Senate. This is back in 1973. At the time he had a wife and he had three kids, 2 sons and a daughter, and they got hit by a tractor trailer truck, and unfortunately, I didn't even know this till today, but his wife and his daughter died, and his 2 sons were seriously injured, Beau and Hunter Biden. Everybody knows who Hunter Biden is, but now you get a little more insight into his life experience. At a very young age, he was involved in a serious accident where his mom and his sister passed away. And Joe Biden had to take on that loss, and then he went into the Senate, and years later, his son, like everybody knows, Beau Biden, passed away from brain cancer. So this man has suffered a tremendous amount of loss, and people who are around people who have experienced a traumatic loss in their life, people who I say now have experienced death at the most upfront in your face. Your wife and your kids are the 2 most closest people to your spouse and your kids, I would say, if you have a great family, and your spouse and your kids are the most important people to you, and he lost 2 kids and a wife. So been through a lot of struggle in his life, but he ultimately has been serving since the 70s, like everyone knows. He's been a senator, he was the vice president. And I give him a lot of credit. We share something in common, me and Joe Biden specifically. We both have a speech impediment. I stutter, he stutters. The fact that he went into public service is freaking crazy. But what do you think about Joe Biden before I move on to the bio of Trump? Like what I just said about him. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't have no problem with the man, cause it ain't how you start, it's how you finish, man.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And we'll get into
we're gonna get into
my honest feelings
later. Yeah.
But I mean, we all been working. We all been working. So shout out to him for coming from a working family. Yep. Shout out to him for still just being able to manage to still live through all of the tragedy that he suffered.
Yep.
So, with that being said, I'm going to let you finish your point. Go ahead.
All right, so now we're going to move on to what I found out. That's just a little bio about Joe Biden. And we all know about Joe Biden. Everybody knows how you feel about him. I just gave a little bio. These are undisputable facts. I'm not leaning towards left or right here. I'm just giving you what I found out. You can look it up for yourselves.
Right.
Okay. Donald Trump, we're talking about now. On the other hand, was getting paid. They found out after all these are public record. He was getting paid a $200,000 salary from his father's company when he was starting at age 2. Mm-hmm. By the time he was 8, he had over $1 million in his, the account that his father opened for him. Basically, there's a reason why Donald Trump didn't want to give away his tax returns. We all know who Donald Trump is too. He was did a lot of real estate deals in the city of New York. Built a lot of buildings. Obviously by 1980 he was a success because by 1988 he was worth $3 billion. So when you require that much, this is back in the 80s now. And after he released his tax returns, it was found that he was given $413 million though by his parents over the course from when he was 2 years old until now. Until current day, $413 million. So it's still, he turned that into $3 billion, but he's just, this guy's just, he's a typical New York businessman. That's just how I see him. And I just don't relate to him. I don't associate with unethical people. I'm not a fan of any politician. I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. Even though we share a lot of things in common at the personal level, we don't share anything in common at the how we live our life.
Right.
He lives a completely different lifestyle than anybody.
Yes,
He's
sir.
the president of the United States. We share nothing in common when it comes. His upbringing is very similar to mine, but we don't share anything in common with Joe Biden. Definitely don't share anything in common with Donald Trump. So neither of these men, even though Joe Biden's been through a lot of things, a politician is never somebody who I feel deserves admiration or respect. We went to a funeral a couple weeks ago. That man deserves admiration. Let's hang some flags up that say Big June on them, because this is the people who should be revered through the neighborhoods. You should drive up and down the streets and see flags outside for the Big Junes of all around the country. There's Big Junes.
Hold up, White Beard.
Yep. So go ahead.
Now, first and foremost, shout out to Big June.
Yep.
And evidently, sir, hey, you left a great impression because you got a lot of people still shouting you out.
I hope
so.
My service is 2 hours long because people are lining up to talk about me.
I swear. and I hope that I can do half of the amount of good deeds and touch the amount of lives that man did.
Yep.
So, back to the topic,
yep.
I would say this about Trump.
Yep.
Even though I can't hold his financial situation as he was a child against him, because I'm sure either one of us would have loved for our parents to have been filthy rich and set us up trust funds when we were coming up. We don't have to work if we don't choose to,
Yep.
But Donald Trump chose to take the businessman approach like his dad. Because he followed in his father's footsteps, trying to at least, and trying to probably earn some respect from his daddy, so that way now, but like you say, you turn 400 million into 3 billion. Sound like to me you're doing all right for yourself there, sir. You're making some good decisions for you to sustain longevity.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. But then you don't judge people just by their successes. Mm-hmm. Okay. You also judge them by your failures. And we're going to get into a few of Trump's failures that have cost people like you and me a lot. So, first of all, we're going to talk about the Trump Foundation.
Okay.
Right? This is a 501c3 that he started, that he mismanaged to the point where he got fined $2 million. He had to pay $2 million to multiple charity funds when they made him resolve the 501c3 as part of because he mismanaged it so much, he had to pay a $2 million fine directly to charities that he was supposed to be paying all the money to that he never did. He was just using it to funnel money through it. Then this is why 501c3s are so hard to get started, because the skepticism's there. And the skepticism's there, and I run a 501c3, so I know how skeptical people are when you mention 501c3. They automatically think that you're trying to take advantage of somebody. Mm-hmm. And it's because of stories like this that shade a bad light onto 501c3s like mine, who are actually trying to help somebody. So that I can't be on the same page with. All right, and these are the things. And then you look at Trump University. This guy had to settle. His students sued him. He had to settle for $25 million. Why? Because he defrauded students who were getting out of high school, who were trying to start their future. He defrauded them to a point where he had to settle for $25 million. So yes, he's had a lot of successes. But along the way, he stepped on a lot of small people. There's multiple stories. Just Google it, folks. Google small businesses. Trump's put out of business because he went bankrupt. Just the Taj Mahal in Atlantic City alone, he owes small businesses $70 million that he never paid them. Why? Because he went bankrupt.
Well, now,
Come on now.
I got what you're saying over there, White
go ahead.
And I'm gonna take all of that into account.
Yep.
So now I'm gonna do my point of view
Go ahead.
about what you just got through saying.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this. If I've built businesses, if I've been helping start businesses, I'm sure he has not personally sat down with each and every investor that he's chose to help invest with. If I give you my word as a businessman and a man who's about the business, and I send money to you, and I don't personally run these businesses, that's why I pay people. Hold on, let me finish what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
That's why I pay people to run my businesses.
Okay, but
that's why I pay people to manage these nonprofits who will set these things up. And it's unfortunate. It's the same way like it is today. If the big name gets involved to any degree, of course they're going to have to come for them right out the gate. So when you say, because every businessman, I'm sure every business person who has had a business, every business deal you do don't turn into gravy. Sometimes it comes with you taking a loss because that's just a part of business, and everybody don't do legit business like you're saying now about Trump. If by chance that some of those business endeavors that he did go in with, that he personally dealt with, okay, then those are the ones that I would hold against him. But I do know that 501c3s and everything, it's the same way with yours, White Bread. You got a beautiful 501c3, and you deserve the full benefit of being able to get that funding from people who don't mind. So with that being said, once your 50, and I'm going to name it and claim it for you. So once your 501c3 becomes fully established and you're rolling and you're doing your mission, you're going to be in a position to pay people to run those areas for you.
Okay, and right before we got started on the air, we had a conversation, me, you, and Casper, about accountability,
right?
And how this country has got. Casper told me to say it, so I'm going to say it. We have gotten to a point in this country where not being accountable is acceptable.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example. I was specifically talking about the Trump Foundation and the Trump University. This is what the 501c3 was called, and this is what the university was called. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, but if there was an Arena Foundation, if I was Donald Trump and I had billions of dollars and I started an Arena Foundation and I started an Arena University, and I had to settle with all the people who were involved with it because I defrauded the company to a point where I had to pay $2 million out of my pocket one time and $25 million another time, yeah, I need to be held accountable for my actions. No matter who's running it, my name's on it. And you need to be accountable. Hold on. We're going to go to Casper. Casper finally wants to chime in. Hold on.
What you got, Casper?
I'm going to pass him my mic. Go ahead, man.
One of the things I'll say is that you pay for accountability now. So
right.
If you have money, you have less accountability than you do with someone with no money. And so that makes it unfair based on the fact that accountability is it's out the window because of the amount of money that you have. Prime example, like you said, whether it's nonprofit or for-profit, if you're making millions of dollars, you're going to be held to a lower standard than someone that's not, if their nonprofit is not making, money at all. So the one thing that I'll say is that, accountability is bought now. It's not something that you earn based on.
So hold up, Casper. So I'm going to ask this question then. So would I be fair to say right now on the podcast that he took accountability by paying whatever came with?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that he didn't. He was held accountable by the law.
He paid for accountability.
He was forced to pay that money.
But I'm saying, if he's paid the money.
So what I would say about the accountability factor, if he wouldn't have got caught, he wouldn't have took accountability for it.
Okay.
He only took accountability because he was caught and because he had the money based on all the money that
bail
he
his
made
ass out of trouble.
to bail his ass out of
Yes,
trouble.
exactly. And to
Great
further
point,
that
Casper.
point, and to further that point, I'm not good with that. I want him to be held the same accountability as me. I made a TikTok about this, and I had multiple people agree with me that I said, all I want to happen in this whole Trump indictment is if I was a politician and I paid somebody off and I did the same thing and I filed it wrong
Yeah.
and I got caught and I went to trial and I got found guilty because I'm saying he's innocent until proven guilty, the same as me.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets found guilty, he should get the same charges that I get. Not more because he's Donald Trump, not less because he's Donald Trump. The same exact as me. Why? Because I'm responsible and I'm accountable for my actions and I'm accountable for the words that come out of my mouth.
I got you.
And this is one, and now Casper wants to chime in again. This is great.
Hey,
We got some
great. That
feedback
was
here.
that was a great
so let me-
TikTok
let me-
you did too, by the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, for real. So I mean, go ahead, Casper. I ain't gonna hold you. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. And the one thing that I would like
Who you asking the question to? We the
I
way.
would like both of you to kind of chime
Yep,
in
go
on it
ahead.
because I think that do you think people with money are like less accountable based on their actions
I
because
think they feel like they are. They feel like they're above
be-
the law. Because
yeah,
they
because
can buy
they
their
can
way
get
out of
it. There
anything.
you go. So
Yes.
wheat bread, what you got?
Man, I'm gonna say this. Of course, man. A lot of these folk got their bread and they got the complexion.
And when
for
he-
the,
can I
hold
say what
up, hold
that's-
up, hold up, man. Y'all,
I was
hold on.
hoping you said it. I was hoping
Hold
you
on.
said it.
They got their bread and they got the complexion for the connection, man. I mean, regardless of what. I mean, you know, and
Trademark pending wheat bread inflection to the
lying,
connection.
If I'm lying, I'm lying. You know, and so when we sit here and we talk about this,
Yeah.
Donald Trump's family probably still helped build over half of New York back during that time because they had the money. So you owe me. Hey, hold on. What my boy say on Belly? You remember when I told you owe me one?
Yep.
You know, hey, they owe some favors, man.
Now this is one thing that I want.
And
people
so
to-
damn right, Trump gonna be able to get
All right,
whatever
but-
he
and
wants.
we're gonna talk about and we're gonna talk about favors.
Favor
Right? So
for favor.
this is what I want people. This is why now nobody will testify against Trump. It's very hard to find somebody who will actually turn and testify against Trump, right? And now if I want everybody to just please take some time out of your life and just go on Netflix. Everyone's got Netflix, and watch this.
Not a sponsor, by the way.
No, not a sponsor, but everyone's got it. And there's this show on there called Fear City. okay?
Yeah.
And Fear City is going to show you two things, all right? Fear City is going to show you what money does to a person because you look at Rudy Giuliani then. This guy took 5 major crime families down. Balls the size of the king of Bayonne, all right? That's a quote from some Eraser, I think. Remember that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? Okay.
Yeah.
Balls the size of the king of Bayonne. And my point is, on there, they were talking about how the mafia had control of New York City, and they actually have a recording of a mafia boss saying that every time you got concrete, this is just watch the show. This isn't me. This is what the show said. The mafia had such control over the concrete business, the garbage business, all this other stuff. If you wanted to build a building in New York City, you had to make a deal with them. You had to pay them a percentage of what the building was worth to get them to deliver concrete, to put any kind of union workers on your job site. You wouldn't get anything done. You wouldn't get any permits passed. They had such control over everything,
Right.
right? And they have tape of people saying, you know, Trump's dropping off that suitcase next week. So you have a guy who in the 80s, when he was worth $3 billion in this show, and he's making deals with mob bosses who by turn Rudy Giuliani ended up taking down.
Hey.
And now Rudy Giuliani's would arrest himself.
Hold up. Let me chime in on that. It sounds like to me Trump was getting extorted. Shit, he had no choice but to pay up.
Right. He
You
made
know
a
what
deal
I'm saying?
with the devil,
So
yeah.
I mean, it ain't so much as made a deal, but I mean, I'm still trying to get myself established. And so he ain't the only one who went through
Of course.
those
No, I'm not
challenges.
saying that. I'm
So
not
it
saying
sounds
that.
like to me that he was getting extorted, and a lot of people didn't have a Bruce Leroy to come along or have an
No.
equalizer come
We're
along.
not gonna make Trump the victim
Hey,
here,
hey, you
okay?
hear what I'm saying?
Trump's
Hey.
never been the victim in his life. Trump's never been the victim in his life because he's not accountable for anything that he
Hey,
does.
you say he was dropping off the bag. He wasn't
This is
paying
the
the
least-
victim.
this is
I'm
the-
paying my first shirt, baby.
Hey, hold on.
Leave me the fuck alone.
I'm gonna ask
Casper.
Casper a question. Just a yes or no answer. Is Donald Trump the least accountable person that you've ever seen in the public spotlight?
Yes.
That was without hesitation. Okay, this guy, it's always a witch hunt. It's always someone's out to get him. It's always a political scheme. It's always I'm the victim. It's always this, that. He defrauded his own people out of $250 million saying that the election was stolen. Fox News just had to pay $787.5 million because they lied about the election being stolen. Come on.
What you got over there, Cat?
Oh, I got to give it back to Casper. Go ahead.
What I'll say is that money makes you sometimes go without the accountability because you feel, again, as we touched on, it makes you feel like you're invisible. So, like at the same time, he defrauded his family out of thousands of money because he got so used to making the money, and so if a lot of his family members wasn't on the same page as him.
No, followers. Okay, so off of the let me see that for a second. This is well known. Off of the election was stolen lie, he's raised upwards of $250 million from his supporters. Now, this is in downright lie. He still says it to this day. Yeah. Every rally he's at, he still says it. Fox News just had to pay almost $1 billion to Dominion for lying about the election being stolen. Why did they pay $787 million if they weren't lying about it? Wow. I mean, that's a big chunk of change for anybody.
Hey.
I mean, that's a lot of $100 bills, homie.
Hey. I'm going to say this right here.
Yep.
And we've all agreed on this over here off camera. All the politicians lie.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not a fan of any of them. I said that earlier.
I think Trump's, if I had to condemn him, I would condemn him for not being a great adapter to being a piece
I got a question.
A piece of political crap. Because when he came into the game, he wasn't a politician initially.
Okay.
He was a TV personality and a businessman.
Yeah, but
and all he did was, hey, just keep trying to flip some money, man.
What would you say that the positive things are that Trump has done for the African American community? What is the number one thing that you would say in his term? What he did for the African American community specifically?
That he did for that? Well, I mean, for one, because like I was telling you offline, and before we went on air, you know, he first of all, a lot of our HBCUs been around a lot longer than some of these Ivy League schools that we have.
Yep.
You know, and they hadn't been getting no funding, really, for the most part. Trump automatically hit them off straight. You know, hold on. Before I lose my point.
Go ahead.
Before I lose my point.
Go ahead.
Second of all, you know, for those of us who were and who do invest, like I told you, I took his advice, okay? When he was doing the presidential debate against Hillary Clinton, and I heard him say, a lot of people in this country are poor because they do not exercise their right to free trade. I looked into it and I started investing because that's a big key.
Okay.
And for those of us who were in the stock market at that time, we saw our investments actually start to turn a profit. Period. Gas was cheaper. Food was cheaper. You know, I really can honestly say that I felt like when I heard him give his speech at the UN, that's what sold me with this man, honestly. When I heard him talk like I've never heard other president come and say, you all are going to start being held accountable. You're going to start paying your fair share for this. You all charge us for this when we offer all of this and we've been doing this for you. And all of those days,
What do you mean by this, though?
Protection, money, assistance when it comes down to medicine, all of these things. Okay. And so when he was calling out these countries and these nations for being pretty much, sound like to me they've been leeching. But you have people here, when I hear him speak about the veterans in the street deserve better care, because I have uncles who are out here, I have family members who are out here almost destitute, still to this day, and they fought long time ago.
Okay, now what?
And I haven't heard Mr. JB.
No, I just want to talk about something.
Go ahead.
I just want to go back and.
Do I sound fair enough with that over there, Casper?
I just want to go back and just reiterate some stuff though, because you talked about the HBCUs, right? So what if I told you that all that Trump did was sign a 10-year renewal on HBCU funding that was in Obama plan? There was $80 to $85 million being invested into HBCUs because Obama started a policy that lasted for 10 years, and all that Trump did was re-sign it. So what if I say that?
If he was so racist, then would he have done
No,
that?
I'm saying is you said no. I'm going back
I
to
said,
what you
yeah.
said. You said that before Trump, HBCUs weren't getting
They
any funding.
they were not getting the amount of
They
money.
were getting the same amount of money that they get now.
So how much money did President Trump actually give to the HBCUs while he was the president?
He re-signed the same policy.
He re-signed
that
the
Obama
policy,
did.
but how much money did he donate?
Half of what Obama did because he was in there for 4 years. Obama had the policy in place for 8 years.
All I'm saying.
And it's the same amount of money. So let me finish.
Come on, man.
I told
Come
you,
on.
I let you finish, even though you said this, and I was trying to stop you to tell you about that, but you didn't let me. I let you keep on going. So then you mentioned the United Nations thing, which I actually agree with, but I also have an idea that because Trump was such friends with Vladimir Putin, that Trump was actually trying to get us out of the United Nations because he knew that Putin was going to invade Ukraine when he did, and he was hoping that he could get us out of the UN by then, so we didn't have to support Ukraine.
In my honest opinion, we need to be out of the UN. We don't need.
Why?
We don't need all of these people trying to tell us what
That's
we
about
do,
world
what
security,
we'll do. We don't need that. You always specify and stress to me that this country spends the most money out of damn near all the other nations. Correct?
20, next 20 something combined.
You get what I'm saying? So we don't need nobody. They need us.
But hold on. You said Trump tried to pull us
I
out
said-
of the UN, but at the same time he
No,
rose defense spending. He increased defense
If
spending.
I'm trying
at
to
the
pull
same time.
out, if I'm trying to pull out and make sure that I got me straight, I got to increase it because I'm finna be more dependent on myself and what I got
But
shaking.
that's not what he said he was trying to do. But okay,
Come on.
Again. So then there's these opportunity zones that he created, right? That was supposed to give funding to low income people to start a business and build things and start things. But you know what they're being used for? What we see everywhere.
What's
Hey
that?
Casper, how many times do you see older homes in neighborhoods getting demolished and new high-rise buildings getting built with rent that people can't afford who were living there before? How many times do you see that happen?
Daily.
That's what's happening with the opportunity zone. So Trump actually passed that, and it's being used against people. He passed it for other people, but the way that they wrote it, there's loopholes in place where people are actually taking advantage of that money, investing into low-income areas, but they're building housing that the low-income people can't afford.
Right.
So,
And I 100% agree with that. But I will also say the money that is out there that is supposed to be designated for minorities to get, my people can't get it.
now we're going to go into what's going on currently, okay?
Hey,
Because
my people, hold on. You see how quick
Go ahead.
I got cut off?
Go ahead.
Hey, my people can't get that minority funding that is really out there because they allowed every other immigrant to come here and be a minority instantly.
Well,
we didn't need no more people to get in our mix.
that's a different discussion.
Hey, I'm just saying.
We're talking about Trump and Biden.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go
Donald, I would say this. This is for you out there. You know what I'm saying? Out there in Cleveland. My man said that he would he respects and would vote for Trump because Trump has better border policy, and that he also
How is it better?
because he had things in place evidently before the funding got cut.
No, they didn't cut any funding.
Joe Biden cut
They're
the
actually
funding to
catching
it.
more people now. They're detaining more people.
So
They're
what
catching
you're
more
saying that
fentanyl.
more people came into this country under
No.
Trump
That's
than
not what I'm
Biden?
saying. I'm saying they're apprehending more. They're apprehending more drugs. They're seizing more fentanyl now than they ever have. So to say Biden's border policies are a failure, you're not looking at the facts.
His border policies is nothing like Trump's were.
Well, first of all, you can't stop people from walking up to the border. And the
That's
last
true.
time that I checked,
That's true.
And the last time that I checked, I challenge any parent with 3 kids, wait till it's 95 degrees out and humid, go to Walmart, park at the furthest parking spot you could possibly get to the door, and walk across the parking lot and tell me if your kids complain about how friggin' hot it is. Because every parent's gonna say, yeah, my kids are all gonna complain. Imagine walking 1,500 miles with no shelter, You know the anxiety that these parents must be feeling when their kids aren't safe at night? You think any of them parents have slept the whole time they were walking? I know I wouldn't be
So
able
let
to
me
sleep.
ask you this question.
I know I
right
wouldn't be
quick.
able to sleep.
Hold up. Let me ask this question. So do you believe Trump would have given out as much money to Ukraine as Joe Biden has?
I don't think Trump.
Seeing that his whole campaign, and I'm holding you accountable. I'm speaking on what you say to me now, Trump.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you say that you want to put the American people first, and you know your people need this because so many of the rich people got it. So would all of that money that has been donated or
First
sent?
of all, Trump's $2 trillion tax cut should have told you who he puts first. Okay, let's just go without saying that was for rich people only. So let's see let's try to figure out
how much money
Americans does he actually care about.
Hold up. You're right.
You know what I mean?
You're right. And so I asked this. Joe Biden proposed something that said that the only people who get taxes is the taxes start to really change and hit them is when they make what, 400,000?
Top 5%, yeah.
The 400,000 a year?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you factor in, I got to make 400,000, but we still don't see the tax break that he's talking about now.
Who does?
Because when Joe Biden was in with President Obama, they had all of the tax breaks for the middle class people. You can write your oil off that you spend. You can write your bill off. So why he didn't put that back on the books?
Hold on. Well, let's go into the positive things that Joe Biden's done.
I'm listening.
Okay, I'm going to go over just a few things, and you guys do your own research. Joe Biden passed the Inflation Reduction Act.
How has that helped you?
Well, I'm going to get you again. You're cutting me off. Don't you just yelled at me for doing that? I didn't even get a chance to finish. Look at how quickly he jumped in. Oh, did he just say those same exact words to me like 3 minutes ago?
He been doing to me all day.
Did he just say those same exact words to me? Right? Okay, so it goes both ways.
The Inflation Reduction Act.
Okay, didn't we talk about farmers last week? How important farmers are?
I'm listening.
As part of the Inflation Reduction Act, $5.3 billion went to tens of thousands of farmers. $3.1 billion of that was used specifically to pay off debts that were incurred during COVID. Okay? So he helps tens of thousands of farmers get out of debt with billions of dollars, which, by the way, the Inflation Reduction Act, just to point out, every Republican voted against it in Congress, House and Senate. It only passed because Kamala Harris did the tiebreaker, okay? Another plan that he passed was called the American Rescue Plan, which again, I don't know. We'll go back to see who voted on it. Got the child tax credits back in. You know what putting the child tax credits back in did? It cut black poverty by 50% in 2021. Just passing that one act that put child tax credits back in.
It cut black poverty
by 50% in 2021 just by giving.
So for those of you back home who will watch this, let me know if your poverty was cut by 50%.
Also, the American Rescue Plan also increased SNAP benefits by 15%, the largest jump in I can't even tell you how many decades. Okay, this was all passed by. This is a Joe Biden policy now. Okay. All right, I'm just whether you agree, increase the earned income tax credit from $540 to $1,500. Another $1,000 in families' pockets who really need it the most. Okay, how about the rent when he gave everybody the moratoriums on their mortgages? How about when he did all that? This was all part of the same act, folks, that every Republican voted against. Okay, another one, 41% of the recipients of the money from the rent, specifically from the rent relief, were black people. 41% of all the money that was sent out to help people specifically pay their rent, 41% of those were black people.
I'd like to see how they came to that number.
They also.
What about you, Casper? You'd like to see how they came to that number, won't you?
These people got to fill out
I'm listening. Come on, because I'm waiting to get my point in.
So hold on. So then, well, that's just two of the acts. We don't have 2 hours to talk about all the stuff they did. That's just some highlights that I pulled out from some of the stuff.
So what you got,
Casper? What you got? I would just like to say I would like to see how they came to it, as Wheat Bread said, but I would also like to see how many people were left out of it.
Right.
How many surveys or however they casted the percentiles. How many people were left out of it? Because one of the things is, based on the percentage, there's probably a higher percentage of people that were left out of the vote or the way that Castor wrote based on the percentage.
Right.
Well, you know what it comes down to though. A lot is people don't know to apply. There's a lot of money out there that's just sitting there that people don't even know is there. Yeah. So it comes down to educating yourself on what's actually available for you and applying for it in time. Yeah, so a lot of people might have been excluded because they didn't have the knowledge that they need to know where to get the money from. Yeah. Okay. So that's something that could help. You know what I mean? But there might be a lot. But all that I'm saying is you know, and I've said this before. I'm not a fan of any politician, but this is what I've seen in my lifetime. Democrats pass policies to benefit the bottom 95%. Republicans pass policies to benefit the top 5%, and that's just the way it goes. Republicans work for big business. Democrats, even though they work for lobbyists too, who are all part of big business, at least the policies that they try to pass try to help some people out, at least. Because the government, they're ruthless. We all know this. The government's not going to take you. If you think the government's going to take care of you, if you're hoping that the United States government is going to be,
big dope.
You need to readjust
Holy dope.
Your expectations because they're not going to take care of you. Whether it's a Democrat, a Republican, whatever. All that I'm saying is I just highlighted some policies. I don't agree with a lot of the things, and I just don't agree. This is one of I don't like Trump for a lot of reasons. We've talked about this. The way he handles himself, the way he carries himself. He's an unethical man. He cheats on every wife he's ever had. He's had to pay off porn stars. This is not somebody who I would associate with. This is not somebody who I want in charge of anything that has to do with me, because I don't agree with anything that he does. Mm-hmm. At just a level, at the biological level, at the main, what makes me the person that I am. If I ever met Donald Trump and he wasn't Donald Trump, he was just a sane guy, New York slick, quick talking businessman. Yeah. I wouldn't give that dude the time of day. I wouldn't talk to him. Why? Because we have nothing in common, and his intentions are completely different than mine.
Well, listen here. All right. I hear what you're saying loud and clear. And I'm going to say this. One of the major reasons why I have no problem with the man is because at least you let me know.
No problem?
Hold on. Let me say what I got to say.
No problem?
I don't have no problem with him because I don't know him personally. But I would say at least he's a straight shooter.
No,
he ain't going to sit there. Joe Biden don't like black people to save his life. I don't care what he say, put your life on it then. I bet you won't. But you don't like black people to save your life. And for me, when you sit here and you act like you my friend when you really don't care, I'm not impressed.
That's the same thing Trump does.
I can care less, but I do know that if I'm trying to live my piece of the American dream as a business owner and trying to stake my little piece in this society, I feel like that I will have a better opportunity to succeed with my money and my investments and my possible business ventures with Trump being in office versus Joe Biden being in office. And that's just my opinion.
Well, Joe Biden's.
You speaking policy? I'm just saying what
Joe
would
Biden,
make me.
Joe Biden's
what would make? Hey, everybody who's in the stock market right now has been a bloodbath since Joe Biden been in office. If I'm lying, I'm flying.
It's been a bloodbath since COVID, man. It's been a bloodbath since the Ukraine war. It has nothing to do. You think the president has all this power where he's in control of everything? The president has no.
Don't make no excuses for. Don't make no excuses for Biden.
I'm not making excuses.
Because if that's the case, Trump was under the same restrictions that Joe Biden is under.
No, he wasn't.
All right, bro.
Was there
if you're sitting here trying to say that the president technically has no power, he was under the same restrictions that Trump. I mean, come on, man.
If anybody, do you know how the government works?
Bro, we already had this.
You don't know how the government works.
Go back and roll the
Congress
tape.
controls
We've
the country,
already talked about it. So if that's the case, Trump had no more power than Joe Biden has right now today.
In certain things, yes, exactly.
What you mean in certain things? It's either each president.
I just said he has the same.
You say in certain things. Yes. What does that mean then? Tell me what the difference is. What does the president
really have power over? Okay, he has the power. He has the power to veto certain bills, but then it just goes back to Congress anyway. It doesn't. It's not like he vetoes the bill and it's
so dead. Trump had a different authority than Joe Biden had.
No.
I did. So tell me what the difference was.
Because Go ahead, hold on.
What you got, Casper?
We're gonna get Casper to come in.
What I say, I think it's about how you utilize your influence and your power. I think that, as a presidential candidate, based on whether you're a candidate or the actual president, you got to utilize your power to benefit everyone. And I think that, at the end of the day, when we look at it, I think White Bread said that, Trump benefits the 5%, where Biden benefits the 95%.
So I ask you this then. Hold on. Let me ask you a question while you still got the mic then, Casper. So how many wars were we rumored to be in when Trump was in office versus today?
Yeah, rumors, though, you can't really...
I just asked the question. How many rumors were we rumored, wars that we were rumored to be heading towards and what it is versus it is today?
But what causes wars would be my question. Because I think
greedy people who trying to wash money.
Yeah, greedy people who want more money.
And want more money. Yeah, you're right.
So one of the things is, when your influence and your power is navigated to ones who may not have the money, I think that causes a bigger war than what we're in. You see what I'm saying? What I mean by
so
that,
what you're saying that, dude, so would I be fair to say that you're pretty much saying without saying that we're probably heading towards a class war versus any other type of war?
Class war, definitely. Because here's the thing. Class war means day to day we can't even have a communication line with different classes.
Right.
And so, I think White Bread was saying that he wouldn't be able to have a conversation with Trump they're in two different classes.
Right.
Now, my thing would be this.
And we wouldn't either, though, just to be real.
That's true. But here's the thing. Would Trump have a conversation with us because we're below his class? And why I say that is because...
Do you believe... I believe he would if we were...
I don't think he would because...
If we were in the vicinity...
if he could benefit from it, somehow he would.
I still don't think he would because here's the thing.
If he's seen a silver lining where he could benefit and get some more followers, he would do it because he's a
I don't know about that because I
attention whore.
Because one of the things I say is that a social media war clash is all dealing with your power and your influence based on the dollar.
Right.
And so for us, we view the dollar as a different amount. Right. Where Trump, he may view it as I can buy myself out of anything. I can buy myself out of anything. For us, we're viewing it as a means to take care of our family, to break generational curses, and also to build businesses that impacts the community.
Yeah.
Where what I would say with Trump is that he just after the bottom dollar to kind of get himself where I guess his entourage needs to be. You see what I'm saying? And so that's where I think our classes would be different and our conversation would be different.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, again, going back to White Bread's point, I wouldn't say that I view any politician as being in our class.
Right.
But I would say that I think someone would have a conversation with us rather than others.
Would you feel like Joe Biden have a conversation with you quicker than Donald Trump would?
I do.
Okay.
My reasoning for that is because it goes back to that 95 percentile versus that 5 percentile.
So I have
He's gonna come into
I'm
the
gonna lay my
community.
big joke on the table with you then.
Uh-huh.
So why didn't he have a conversation with Ice Cube before the election when Donald Trump had a meeting with him with the black agenda? So why come they still haven't had the meeting with him today, the same one people tried to hold against Ice Cube for having, because Donald Trump chose to listen to what the man had to say?
It could be a two-way street on that point. What I would say is that I don't know behind the scenes how Cube approached the situation. You see what I'm saying? If he went in a different demeanor, Biden probably not gonna hold a conversation with him. You see what I'm saying? When you think about it, it's just like us as human beings, as men. If somebody come at you with a different approach based on the aggressiveness of you gonna listen to my way or no way, 9 times out of 10 we're gonna be like, nah, I'm not listening to you. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna shut them down. So I don't know the behind the scenes, but what I can say is that when you look at it for what it's worth, I think Biden would hear us quicker than Trump based on the scenario, based on the value of the dollar.
According to Ice Cube said that Trump went on and took the meeting because he was curious to know what Ice Cube had in mind.
Why do you think
and
he did that?
hold on. And Joe Biden didn't respond to him. He sent Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris said, well, let us get elected first, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, they've been elected, still no meeting. And we're pushing halfway through your presidency.
And that's true, but one thing I would say is that relatability also matters in a point.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Wait, just so you know, do you know when Trump met with Cube? What year?
He
Into his presidency?
He met with him the year during the election.
During 2020?
Yeah.
So it was 4 years into his presidency, he met with Cube.
It's still 2023. Right
No,
now.
no, I'm saying is Trump met with him. Trump was
He
president
met with
in
him the
2016.
year of 2020.
So 4 years into his
toward the
presidency.
end of 2020,
So
that was a big
right
deal.
at the end of his presidency, 4
Right.
years into his presidency.
I mean, but that's when Ice Cube.
I'm just pointing it out.
That's when Ice Cube proposed it.
I'm
Cube, if you see this, please come on
Just
to the
saying,
show
just
so that
saying,
way
just
we
saying.
can get it
I'm
from the
just saying-
horse's mouth.
I'm just saying 4 years into his presidency.
Help me understand why Q proposed the meeting.
Because same way me and White Bread sit here and when we
Just
talk.
this conversation, right?
Yeah.
So basically, as a
But when you observe from a status that's higher than us,
yeah, go ahead.
Ice Cube was observing his people from a far off plateau than I'm able to see us. I can honestly ride through the ghetto and still ride through most of the cities and still see the poverty and everything that Ice Cube had laid out that he was trying to help get some change brought about on. Especially for the black vote, because he was just saying it's enough of giving the Democrats our vote for free.
Yeah.
They've been eating off they've been eating off of black people's vote for the last 40, 50 years, and we still in the same condition with less equity.
And I'm going to say this to you, is if you think for a second that a rich, white, New York businessman is going to pass any policies that are going to take money out of his pocket, that is not going to happen, bro.
Hey, the same way,
That's against his
the
own
same way
personal
that a rich white man from Delaware is not going to do the same
wait, how
thing.
about this? Well, we're going to get into it because Donald Trump's worth, what, $5 billion now? Joe Biden's worth $8 million. Okay, so there's people that are on the
That we know of.
No, that's his net worth.
That we know.
$8 million, okay?
That we know of.
Team.
They got offshore
Hey,
accounts and shit, bro.
Casper, you've been in this town a long time. How many people that live on the point have a greater net worth of $8 million?
Not many.
You sure about that? You got a $3
Excuse me
million
for a second.
house?
I mean, I would say
You got a $4 million house. You don't think you have a net worth of at least 3 to 4 times that?
I would say, looking at the population for what it is in Mooresville, you have probably a slim few. You have some, but I would say you have that's where the lines cross. So, like, when we look at it,
I'm just talking about Joe Biden in the mixture of rich people in the country. I'm just talking about just little Mooresville, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody in Mooresville, North Carolina that has greater net
Oh,
worth
yeah,
than $8 million?
for sure it is.
So, okay,
For
now,
sure it is.
Is there anybody in Mooresville, North Carolina that has a greater net worth than $5 billion?
I doubt it.
Okay, all
I
right.
doubt it. But what I'll say is the fact that, like, going back to your point, you touched on a very good point that I'd like to touch on, is that the fact of the matter is it's all about the conversation and the power. And sometimes we abuse it based on the amount of money that we have, and we take that and we put it into power perspectives. Prime example, when we go back to the stimulus and everything, any time that you can approach a situation based on giving someone, I call it a hand up versus a handout, they take that as a, so prime example, they gave the stimulus out.
That helped me tremendously.
But on top of the stimulus, you had to be taxed for it.
Of course.
You see what I'm saying?
But
So
I mean, not no. Well, okay, so that's when but that's because all money that you earn is taxed.
that's true.
No, and you have to count that. But that was part of taking the stimulus money. That was understood that it was taxable.
That's true. But what I would say is that when you're taxed for something that you're like, for the stimulus, you're taxed for it, and then at the end of the day, do you think that actually helped or hurt us?
I would say that the vast majority of people that it helped fall into the tax bracket where they're not getting taxed anyway. So the people that it really helped.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the people who, when you file your taxes, your taxable income is below $19,000 a year, where you fall into that poverty level where your tax bracket, you're paying an extremely low amount of tax.
What I would say, I would say that it helped us, but it also hurt them in effect, because if you file dependents, say for instance, if you take $19,000 and you add a $7,000 tax bracket on the incentive,
Oh, that could throw you into a higher tax bracket.
which really, technically, they're not making that amount. We're just going based off of what they receive from the government. So for the lower class, it definitely helped them, but for the ones that's on that borderline, it kind of hurt them because it actually elevated them into another class, which
Right.
really technically they're not in that class. They just in that class for the moment,
Right.
Based on the dollar
Just for
that was.
that 1 year.
There you go.
Well, I'm gonna say this then. You know, the same way most of us who did receive those checks, those stimulus checks, you know, you didn't give me nothing any kind of way. You end up taking my taxes the following year when I filed.
Based on the tax bracket.
Most of the people who filed their taxes, who received the stimulus, they got nothing back for the most part. Absolutely nothing. And if you have state tax, you were on.
Well, you had to be down in a lower class
But-
under like.
But
like
now,
Greg said.
No, I'm
but
saying
now
is-
most people are making over 19,000 when they're making over $15 an hour. So they're making over 19,000.
Not your tax, but if you have 3 kids and you have write-offs and you're the head of household, then even if you make $30,000 a year, your taxable income is going to be around 10, because you got $20,000 in write-offs. Each kid is what, 6,800, something like that, right, Keem? I mean, it's Greg has something like that. It's like
it'll
6.
Take you, with 2 kids, it'll take you into another bracket.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's the only thing with the stimulus that I say hurts, because really, when you think about it, if they didn't have that, they would get more back on their income taxes versus having to pay back on their taxes. You see what I'm saying?
But
Or losing
okay,
their
but what
money.
I'm saying is, say you had 3 kids, you got a check for 10 grand.
Yeah.
But then you had to pay an extra $2,000 in taxes because of the 10 grand, because you're probably gonna pay 20% on the 10 grand. So you had to pay 2,000. You're still net profit at $8,000.
Yeah, but they don't look like the people that you're helping at that time. They don't have that two grand because they've already spent that.
That's when it comes down to responsibility.
Yeah, you're right.
And you know
But
what I
see-
mean? So
but see, like I tell White Bread, when you're dealing with people who live in survival mode, they never get caught up. So if they get 10 grand and try to pay off a credit card or try to catch up and pay their house note up for a couple months, you know what I'm saying? They're fortunate to do that. And since I do have another brother here, this is like I told you, it's a lot of people look like me. They don't get family vacations. All they do is work, and they'll take off 1 week throughout the year, maybe 2 if they got a good job.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they get 1 week out of the year to take off vacation, and most of the time it's spent at the crib, chilling, you know, cleaning up, probably fixing up on something that they've been behind on doing, and it's right back to work.
One of the things that I would also say, if with the stimulus, some people probably use that as affordable housing.
Right.
Meaning that they were first-time home buyers to put on a down payment on a home.
Right.
That they really, it really took them into another tax bracket that really hurt them in the end.
Yeah, 'cause they couldn't
now
afford it.
that mortgage is based on what they had at the time. And
Right.
So now they may be.
Do you think now you're on a now we're not gonna we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna go off the topic just a second because
Go
you
ahead.
just mentioned something that's a valid point. I think that we need to change what we're teaching kids in schools as far as life skills. Like who cares about algebra 3? You could take that in college if
Yeah.
you want to be a man. Why aren't they teaching these kids how to invest in the stock market?
Right.
How to manage money. How to manage money. How to balance a checkbook. How to change a tire. How to live your life with financial freedom. How to set yourself up. What are you going to do in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s? Give them a life plan, and maybe they can follow something and become a little more successful.
I personally, I think that that's changing slowly.
Yep.
But one of the things I would say is that the American dream was going to college.
Yes.
Correct? The American dream is going to college, you know, getting your degree and coming out making X amount of dollars. That's what the American dream tells us.
Yep.
So when you're not educated on that dream, you tend to go with it.
Yep.
So like one of the things that I'll tell you, and you know, White Bread, you have all the different trade skills and all that. I think we should push kids to like life skills and trade based because they can go in and make it instant money.
And me and
Where like when they go to college, you know, because you got a daughter in college right now.
Yeah.
You go to college, you accrue 4 years of debt that you come out of college and you have to pay 20 years after the fact. You go for 4 years.
Marilyn passed away, never paid off her college debt.
Well, here's the thing.
No, I'm just saying she
here's the thing, but
she didn't outlive her college debt.
If with your company now, if you had someone that came out of high school and they had basic certification, they can go right into making money to
Construction.
benefit them.
I talked to you about going to teach kids about the basic construction skills, how to read a blueprint. Like, I would do that on a volunteer basis. If I could, I would go teach kids how to read blueprints, how to set up the laser, how to shoot grades, how to do all this stuff. So when they get out of school, they have the confidence to go get a job.
But see, it goes back to the overall concept that you guys are touching on, is that we got to educate people based on it's going to help them
Get a career, not just a
rise.
job. We need people to get careers, not jobs. You know what I mean? And that's what we need more of. We need more paying jobs, because ultimately it'll take more people out of poverty. We'll have to pay less benefits. The U.S. government, we spend a lot of money every year. We talk about money we spend in Ukraine. We talk about money we spend here. We talk about money we spend there. How much money do you think we would save if we just raised the minimum wage to $15? And all these people didn't qualify. They would still qualify for some benefits, but they wouldn't qualify for the amount of benefits that they qualify for now. Because the way that I see not raising the minimum wage, the United States government is subsidizing highly profitable companies, because we make their employees make ends meet, where they should make sure that their employees are making the ends meet, because they're ultimately there busting their back, literally busting their back, to make these ultra elite people millions and millions and millions of countless dollars, while they're busting their backs for pennies.
So my question would be, do you think, so if we educated individuals early on, I would say in middle school, on career, trade, and life skills, America, what you're saying is America would be...
Trades is a dying craft, you know that?
Yeah, and so my thing would be, the American dream it hasn't shifted fully, but I think with the way that the world is going, based on the increase in everything, you go to the grocery store, you spending $200 a pop on just the basics. Yep. So now when I think about it, I think what we have to do now is just educate the people on what actually careers make what money. So like the American dream tells us to go to college, get a 4-year degree. It don't say how much money you're going to make after college. But if you go to be a welder, it says, hey, you get your welding certification, you're guaranteed to start out with at least $29 to $40 an hour.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So you already, in your mind, you calculating that based on, hey, I can start here and make sure that my family is taken care of.
There's a dire need for pilots. Pilots start at $150K a year.
Yeah.
They're going to have to hire 14,000 pilots in the next 3 years.
Why do you think that is?
Because people are retiring. People are getting, pilots are all, they're saying with the losses that they normally take, with people just turning over jobs, going to different industries. Some pilots take jobs where they're flying for private people, and they're LeBron.
Right.
They're like LeBron James's personal pilot, and they just fly his plane around. But a regular airline pilot, they start $150,000 a year. That's a great job if you can do it. If you got the stomach for it, but there's so many trades that are in need. Electricians,
I got the
plumber,
stomach for it, so
iron workers,
but I would
whatever
say,
you want to do.
If we want to talk about everything that you guys have touched on, accountability, power, money, respect, all those things could be changed based on giving individuals the proper opportunity based on what we expose them to.
even if
So in middle school, if we expose kids to plumbing,
and let me take it up a
HVAC,
notch with you.
That would be a game changer.
Let me
based
take
on
it up
the
a
next
notch with you
generation.
right here. The same way most of the inner city youth, you got people who good at tattooing, you got people good at cutting hair, people good at automotive repair, you got people who are good with their hands, with their mind, But if people feel that there is no opportunity, and it should not cost you money just to seek opportunity when people know you already broke. It's either the people want the opportunity. If they do, they should have somewhere to be able to go to get the help and the assistance that they need to chase any dream here in America. Period. If you got a Social Security card and you wanted to go to Disneyland, you're supposed to be able to go with the amount of taxes that we pay here living in this great state. These great states and cities and all of these different areas. That's just wheat bread
It's
opinion,
just not
y'all.
a capitalist society, though.
Yeah,
we live in a capitalist society where things
I
cost
get what
money.
you're saying. You're right.
Okay.
I get what you're saying.
I would agree to you. I would agree with you on the trade base, but like when you talk about places like Disneyland and stuff like that, those are private entities where they're gonna have a capitalist mindset.
Capitalist.
As
It's
White
all about
Brad
that
was
money
saying.
now.
But what I will say is that I feel like we should have individuals that have opportunity to better themselves based on the educational perspective, the certifications that they receive, in order to put their families in a better
Well,
situation.
you know what I'm doing, Keem. Honestly, with the radio show, I have the opportunity to sell ads. I have the opportunity to have people buy ad time, and I'll do a sponsored for them. But if I go talk to you, and you're a small business, and you don't have any money, I'm gonna barter with you somehow. I'm going to trade with you. I'm going to trade services with you somehow. I'm going to show you what my services are worth. I'm going to see what your small business is. I'm going to meet a woman who owns a small business on Monday right here in Mooresville. She does IV therapy. She does yoga. She does health and wellness training. This could help me with the woman who I help in the foundation. You don't think I'm going to trade services with her? She's a small business too. Some people don't have the money to spend on ads. Some people, that's part of their budget. But I think we need to get more to that too. We talked about this a long time ago. People need to start trading their services amongst each other, and take the government and the taxes out of it. Trade services. It doesn't always have to be for money. You know what I mean? It can have a monetary value, but you can trade something that doesn't even have money. No money exchanges hands. Just services do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
What I'll say to you, White Bread, is that when you trade services, it should be no strings attached.
No strings
So
attached.
you shouldn't have to trade your service based on what am I going to give you back. No, I'm giving you an opportunity to come up in life based on your opportunity. So, say for instance, if you have a big company and you're trying to help a small business come up, you shouldn't look for nothing in return.
Nothing in return. If I'm saying is like me with this woman who I'm going to meet on Monday specifically, if I have a woman who I'm helping out through the foundation, and they call me and say, "Hey, I need a vitamin D bag. I need a vitamin C bag. I'm not feeling good this week." I'm gonna call that woman up who I'm gonna meet on Monday and say, "Hey, I'll give you a free 30-second ad if you hook up this woman with a vitamin C bag." Done. The woman goes there, gets the vitamin C bag. The woman sends me an ad. I put it on my show. No money exchange hands, and I help somebody get the treatment that they needed to help them with the side effects. And I traded. We need to do that amongst each other.
You done benefited two individuals that's gonna. Regardless of what the time that they put in, is gonna benefit.
It's
them
all positive energy.
Yeah.
It's all positive energy, and that's what we're trying to create, right?
Well, and hopefully, as we continue to try to bring our little piece of awareness on this, y'all.
Yep.
I know we sit here and we go in about
and we talk shit a lot
about people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and some of the people that we really speak of are really bad people on the inside.
Awful.
And but we have no control over that. So, from We Bread, I want us to try to focus a little bit more upon the things that we are in control of.
Yes.
And try to mix with people who feel kind of like you, so that way you can get you a circle to help bring about some of the change that you may have in mind.
Remember I told you
reach out to the Wheat and White Bread.
Reach out to us. Reach out, bigjcanhelp@gmail.com. Talk to the radio show. We have a segment on there every week. You can come on and be a guest, same as Casper came on and be a guest. You can come on the radio show and be a guest. All you gotta do is call me. That's it. It's easy.
Send us if you send us a message, I promise you, first name on, last name your ass. I'm on their ass for you. You hear me? I don't care what they say, how they feel, and they go whether it's Trump, Biden, or anybody else, Ron DeSantis. Especially you, boy.
And Ron DeSantis.
If you run for president for real and you sit your ass up there, I'm gonna run for president. I'm gonna cut the dreads off and I'm gonna I'm gonna get up there. Well, see if I go up there.
Even better. We got media passes now. Run for president, Ron DeSantis. Come to North Carolina. Come to Charlotte. Do a rally here, and you're gonna get questions from the Wheat and White Bread Show.
Don't play with me, boy. Don't play with me, boy. We the same age, man. You ain't fooling me, bruh. And
What I like to say to both of you is, with all due respect, I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity.
Appreciate you too, Cal.
And then most importantly, to see African American male and a Caucasian male here doing and being able to talk amongst each other in the same vicinity is huge. So you guys are breaking chains and breaking barriers that regardless of your class, your money.
Right.
You can't do this.
Right.
You can't do this. So I appreciate the opportunity. It was a great chance to actually hear from both sides, and it's also as an understanding as people, and it goes back to the accountability factor. Just because a person has an opinion doesn't mean that you can't listen or you can't get along with them. Yep. I think society has said that, it's showing now that we don't have opinions anymore.
That's right.
Like, it's wrong for you to have
the same
an opinion.
Way when you get your opinion that LA gonna beat my Memphis Grizzlies, you done lost your mind over there.
I wasn't gonna say it, but Lakers in 6 and LeBron going for 40.
That's why I hate when you invite your friends onto the show.
Listen, Wheat Bread, what I say is, we weren't gonna talk about sports, you took it there, but what I say is that, man, I appreciate you guys, and I look at you guys as breaking chains, because the thing that we have in society today is division, I'll say. Yeah. And we don't have people that can come together and talk about real life issues. And regardless if it's, you agree or you disagree, we still can be able to talk about it. So for me to be a part of it today and just hear it, it makes you, it motivates you, because at the end of the day, one of the things that we don't do, everybody talks about what they want to do to change and how they're going to do this. Right. But how many people are actually doing it? Nobody are doing it. You guys are actually taking advantage of your opportunities, the radio show, the podcast, and, you're taking it and you're giving real life stuff based on opinions, based on knowledge, and based on facts that is going to help the next generation. And we need more of that. So I appreciate you guys.
And you know what, Casper?
And one thing I'll say, Lakers in 6, and I'm going to end it like that.
Pass the mic.
I'm going to end it off. We are running long today. Thank you for staying tuned.
I really appreciate all of the viewers, y'all. And hey, we're going to try to start slowly bringing in some more people. But we appreciate you, man, for taking out of your time. You're busy, man. And we know that you got multiple businesses that you're trying to run. So, but
this is a busy man right here, taking time out of his day to be.
I'm gonna have to check your drink to see what you.
Check my TikTok.
Hold up, White Bread. I'm about to check his drink to see what he's sipping on, cause he just shout out talking about that the Lakers in 6. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But as it pertains to us as a people, like I always say, we got to find a way to love on each other a little bit more. Regardless of how mad you may be, but if you still got your human side to you, and you know that you still care, then that's what we're here for. Because we're trying to let people know everywhere, whether it's through the Live for Life Foundation, the Maryland Arena Foundation, whether it's through the Wheat and White Bread, whether it's through Casper and his multiple businesses, hey, we're here. And you never know how a person can help you if you don't let somebody know what's going on with you. And with that being said, hey, appreciate the love, appreciate the love. Hit that subscribe, man.
Hit the subscribe button. I'm gonna wrap it up here by saying thank you.
Thank you
to Casper for joining us here.
Appreciate you guys. Love conversation.
I put a crazy ass TikTok up on my TikTok page earlier. It's at Speak the Truth 101. Yeah. If you want to see crazy ass Casper out there in a hailstorm trying to run one of his small businesses, this man stays busy. I tell you right now. But he was out there getting it today in the hail. So I got a good video of it up on my TikTok. Check that out.
Check it out.
Also, check out the MarylandArenaFoundation.org. Like I said, all the radio shows are going to be up there after May 1st. Check out the Wheat and White Bread podcast at Wheat and White Bread on YouTube. Check out the Live for Life podcast at Live for Life 182.
Don't be mad at us, y'all.
But we ran a little long today, but we were getting so many comments that people wanted us to bring
Everybody want to know about Trump and Biden.
But what aboutism, and let's just get past this.
Miss Michelle, we ain't forgot you, because I know you got something up your sleeve.
I'm going on the show with Miss Michelle.
We're going to talk about 45th. That's what she want to call it.
About 45. She won't even say
40. Hey, won't even say his name over there, Casper. She said, hey, she cut me off on the radio show. No, don't say his name. We call him 45. That's crazy.
Like saying Voldemort at friggin' Hogwarts. You know what I'm saying?
Almost like I said Beetlejuice. You hear me? Like I said Beetlejuice.
Saying
45.
Saying soccer in like England. You know what I mean? Like they don't call it soccer there.
Football.
But we're gonna wrap up here, folks. We went double the time that we normally do, but please, we are thankful that you stayed tuned. This was a great episode. We talked about a lot of things. We had a guest. We're going to try to get more guests to come on the show. I'm going out tonight again.
Hey,
I'm going to be in Charlotte tonight.
we might be
Check
in your,
out Big J.
We actually
Big
might
J's
be in
gonna
your
be out
city,
there.
man. We might be in your city soon. So
We'll see. We're gonna.
hey,
I'm
you
gonna take
just
the show
never
on
know.
the road eventually, but let's keep the positive energy going, folks. Hit that like and subscribe button if you like what we're talking about. We are gonna try to change the game here, just like
Yes, sir.
Casper said. So
Hey, before we leave,
we're
White Bread,
signing off.
go Grizzlies.
And I'd be remiss to say that Celtics are coming out of the East.
Here you go, Giannis.
Celtics are coming out of the East.
Giannis, you better pull
I
that
don't
bad
care
back of yours
who.
off the bench.
They play in the finals. I hope it's LeBron. Lakers versus Celtics would be
There you go.
amazing again. Let's
And
run
first,
it back.
hold up now,
again.
y'all. You see how he reneged? At first he said Lakers and Grizzlies. Now since we got Casper over here, he done reneged on me.
Well, no. I said
That's why they.
Celtics versus
That's why the Celtics
This
won't
guy
make
will
it to
never
the
pick the
final.
Grizzlies to lose.
Man,
Lakers in 6. I'm going with the GOAT. Dylan Brooks, you are stepping out of line. Don't be talking to the GOAT like that.
DB, you know
Don't
your
be
boy got
talking to
your
somebody
back,
who's
baby.
in the conversation
Send me
of being the
tickets,
greatest
baby.
player of
Send
all
me tickets,
time.
and I'll bring both of them. Who
Keep
sitting
your
right
ass
here?
in line.
I'll bring both of them with me. Send me some tickets,
Take a
and
lesson.
I'll bring both of them. That way you can shit on them. You hear me?
Take a lesson from Freddie Mitchell. Remember FedEx talking smack to Tom Brady? What happened? Super Bowl victory for the Patriots. You don't talk smack to the GOAT.
Hey, go Grizzlies.
Go Grizzlies. Go Celtics. Go Bruins. Bruins are going to the Cup too.